Hello. What's going on, lads? It's Lee. Shooting you this one live on Sunday, 12th of June, 1:15 p.m. here in Melbourne. Been an interesting couple of weeks for myself. As I'm sure you know now, I have been working this high ticket sales role, where I've been going pedal to the metal, putting in a lot of effort to try and get my skills up with this role. And the results hadn't been showing, right? So, sort of got wind. Well, I've got a bit of a feeling that I'm going to get the sack, right? Now, it's not something that, I came into this opportunity expecting or hoping for, or even realizing that it was a possibility. I just knew that I was going to come and put in so much work, and back to my abilities to be able to really crack this nut, right? However, how reality's played out is not how I expected it, which is fine. There's a couple of things I want to talk on in today's video, and that is, first up, the journey to self-mastery. Maybe I'll just write these down so I don't forget. So what I am going to be talking about today is, first up, self-mastery and becoming an expert. And two, faith in the path. All right. So the two things I'm talking about today is self-mastery. All right. So the path in becoming an expert, and the second is faith in the path ahead. First up, self-mastery. All right. Being exposed to this sales environment, I've been introduced what it takes to make a sale, right? My thought process was get in front of as many people as possible, and then the law of averages will show that I'll convert, at least a percentage of that, and then I can refine that craft. Now I can see is that regardless of as many people as you're talking to, there are some key things that you need to have in that conversation for it to be a successful sale, right? Now, let's just define sales really quickly as the process of transferring belief, right? So in the scenario that I'm in, I'm selling a digital marketing product, right? So I'm selling the belief that we have the product to help a business owner who's struggling with getting in the amount of leads that they need to hit their financial goals, right? Now, what process I got given was quite a rigid, sales script. Okay, first time I've used the script, and there was a couple of learning curves, right? So one of those learning curves was going through that script. You're not as much asking the questions to get through the script and move to the pitch. You're asking those questions because you're desiring an answer, and you're truly trying to connect with the position of that prospect or the client. So it's not something that you can tick the box of if you're not presently there and attentively listening, right? So, trying to sound right, saying the right words, having the right tone, having the belief in a product, all irrelevant if you're not authentically there to connect with the other person, right? Because for a transfer in belief to be made, there needs to be a connection. I found that for myself personally, maybe what I've been exposed to from the training side of things was focusing way too much on the script, focusing way too much on how to say the right things in the right way. And I wasn't there to listen to the person's burning issue. Even though I was asking it, even though I was hearing people talk about it, it wasn't registering for me, right? Because I wasn't connecting with their true problem. So that's been the experience so far. And the thing I'm very grateful for in just being exposed to this environment is realizing the depth of what a sale is. And you can have all the bells and whistles, all the tactics, all of the frameworks, the reframes, pre-frames, objection handles. You can have all of that jazz, but if you don't have a connection with your client, you've got nothing. So I was in a weird scenario, right? First time coming in, I was uninformed. I had uninformed optimism, right? So my connection with the client was very well, but my process was very poor. Then I got refined and the process indoctrinated within me. So how to open, how to discover, how to pitch, how to close, how to objection handle, all of that stuff. But by focusing too much on the process, I'd forgotten my key and why I was there. And that was my ability to connect, right? So very interesting experience in like your strength becoming your weakness and your weakness becoming your strength. I describe it like this. It's like a wax on, wax off thing, right? So when I came there, I was waxing on understanding the process. It gets to a point that after you understand the process, and once you internalize some of these tools that you're using in a sales call, you need to wax that right off, right? And by doing so, you're taking the rigidity out of the sales call and the conversation, and you're back to flow. You understand, this guy's just a person, right? I'm not doing a sales call. I'm a consultant. I'm hearing where they're at, and I'm going to see if I can help because they don't have enough business, and I do have the ability to get more leads into their business, right? Well, that's the facts, right? Now, we can talk about the product, the offer, the sales train, all of this stuff. Forget about that, right? At the end of the day, I want to focus on my controllables and what I've learned out of this experience. And it's the biggest thing I've taken out of this, and what I'm going to take forward into my next sales role and further into my path in mastery of communication, is that first and foremost, my what's that word called? My benefit or my interest in this communication is not the outcome, right? My desire is not to close a sale. It's not to give someone a product that they don't need. It's truly to understand exactly where they're at and focus 90%, like 99% on their scenario. Really connect with their fears, their beliefs, their desires, all of these things that is their current frame and their current identity with the issue that we're talking about. And to see how through a partnership with my product and what I'm representing is going to get them to a desired outcome, right? So that's been it sounds obvious, but I consider myself a pretty decent communicator, like naturally. And pretty decent EQ, but it's something that has slipped my mind. So the most important thing that I'm focusing on right now is, rather than trying to sell this product, try and inspire an ideal end state or an identity with the client, the prospect, and the product. Me only as the intermediary between that. So it's rather than focusing on the benefits and the features, it's understanding their current frame in thinking and their identity associated with that, and providing tools and new context for them to be able to understand what their new life will look like, right? And giving themselves permission to experience that. Okay, so the tools that I'm walking away with is an introduction to a sales process, right? Is the key fundamentals of opening a call, following a script, and the basics of objection handling, right? So when they say no, I say no worries, release pressure. Then I go in and pick, and I reestablish their buy-in. So I was like, okay, no worries. Price aside, how about the program? Is that, do you feel confident that this could bring you from your 10K months to $50,000 a month? Get their buy-in, double tap on that, see why they do, really understand that they're bought in on the program itself, and if price is the true objection. And then if that's the case, look to split that up and, start that negotiation process. So I'm taking that with me. Definitely got a whole lot more reps on walking out of this thing than I did on the way in. So that's a massive win, right? But I've also been introduced to the levels of this game, right? I've been watching a lot of this guy called Eli Wild. He was the top salesman of Tony Robbins for about 10 years. So he's using a lot of Tony's tactics of the mindset, the NLP, really high levels of communication to be able to sell on a mass scale, right? And a lot of these concepts that I'm talking about now is after me, being enlightened by a master salesperson. So he speaks about, you're not selling a product, you're selling a desired state, right? And a new identity. So I've had my eyes opened to what I thought sales was, which was having basic level of IQ and then smacking a weaponized process on top of that to just start shooting birds out of the sky, right? That, doesn't happen like that. What I'm learning is my internal frame of what I'm participating in a sales conversation is step number one, right? I need to understand how in this sales process, I'm not taking anything, I'm giving something, right? And for the right people, you are giving something. For the wrong people, you might be taking something, but that's not my issue. I'm not, tussling with ethical dilemmas. I genuinely just need to feel that connection because I'm not used to taking or transferring, being in control of the payment, right? I'm not used to saying, here's the value, but I need 15 grand, right? That's the first for me. So being able to rationalize how I'm actually helping people in that process is, step number one for me. Also, the tools, just the tools in being able to frame the conversation and from the outset, right? So being able to provide the mindset and the context to some of the key things that are going to be holding people back or making them wary. Like, can I do this? Money's a problem. All of these key objections that if you're in sales or, what you can imagine people would, if you've ever bought something, the things that are holding you back, or is it the right time? What will my partner say? Do I have the money? Can I even imagine myself, on the other end of this thing and being successful with it? There are many high-level tools to be used and mastered, right? So I'm going through a training process now where my ultimate goal is to become a master at communication, right? So I'm learning, this is the most I've ever known about sales, and I'm just realizing how little I understand. And it's quite a humbling process. So that's really what I want to touch on with, that journey of self-mastery and becoming an expert in a field, is the humbling feeling of feeling like you know nothing, right? And knowing how long the road ahead is. However, I'm so passionate about really getting a good understanding of this skill and connecting with the truth that with this skill used in the right way, I can help so many people. And that is my goal in this life, is to, gain the skills to be able to add value into other people's lives. And as the furthest byproduct of me being the best version of myself and being able to transfer value to people who need it, financial prosperity is a lagging indicator. And I'm fine with that, right? So, right now it just feels like I've just been slaving for the top of this hill, which is the summit of this experience. Now I've sort of reached it because it's like the most that I could take out of this opportunity with the skills that I've had at this moment. So I've reached the peak of what I could take out of this opportunity. And I've just noticed that there are some mountain ranges on the in the distance. So I'm at step 1, man. Feels that way. And how wonderful is that? Because who I am right now, looking into this camera, speaking confidence somewhat succinctly, is what I imagined the end product. Me 2 years ago would have seen myself now and would have thought, that's the max caliber that you can be. Being disciplined over yourself and, putting yourself in an environment like this, giving it your all, was the best that I thought I had to give. Now, I've just realized that ceiling of my performance is now the baseline that I need to start building it's the baseline and the foundation that I'm to build my whole next thing on. So it's pretty humbling, but I'm here for it and I'm loving it. Moving on to the second thing is faith in the path. So for me personally, I've had the macro point of view. So that's the zoomed out perspective that this experience, while I'm giving it my all, I understand that it is a part in the whole process of my journey. And ultimately towards my goal of being able to start my own business and be able to have a positive impact in people's lives. So when I've been praying at night, I haven't been praying for this to be a success. I've been praying for me to experience what I need and be taken onto the right path. So in a funny way, my prayers have been answered. And this spanner in the works, or, this failure or this change in direction, is a massive win. It is a massive win, and it's a huge step towards the life that I want to create. And I'm super excited to see what's next. In this journey, right? And like to take a step back out of my context, but to put the ball back in the court of, of us as a community, is when you take a step out of your comfort zone and you've got a picture in your mind of the person you are, the experience that you want to have, and the life that you want to create, there is such a gap, right? You now to your end result, there is freaking this much progress that you need to close and you need to go through. Having your end goal in concrete, but the path there in sand is a massive skill, and it's a massive prerequisite for you to be able to continue when these challenges come ahead. I feel like having a strong relationship with God, right? And truly seeing your setbacks, your failures, this whole process as being baked within the journey towards success, and it being perfectly tailored to what you need to experience to be that person, will give you the strength you need to continue. Now, let me be super clear. When I say that, I'm not saying like you use God as a tool and use faith as a tool. It is the end result itself. That is the final fruit, is connecting with God and strengthening your faith. My faith. And the rest is something that happens in the meantime. But while we're on this earth, to humble yourself and say, I don't know what I need. I don't know what success looks like for me. I'm trying my best with the information that I have, but ultimately I give that to you, right? I give my thought of success to you, and I trust that whatever happens, and how massively different, what reality gives me and what I thought I needed is, I accept that is the path that I need, right? So, I hope that's been somewhat clear. But yeah, the more that I go down this path, the more that I see the financial success, the clout, the fame, the women, all of these like fleshly desires and pulling factors are things that need to get stripped away. So through failing, through all of these things, I see it as a transformation, right? I see it as that transformation for you to be able to focus your energy towards good in the world, and rather than just work for material gain, to actually build and facilitate what God has in store for you and for the world. The prerequisites that you need to feel that solitude, not solitude, I'm using big words, sorry, let me strip this back. I found for myself that for me to be able to feel super at ease and like content with how reality plays out and what my path ends up looking like, is I can honestly say that I'm trying my best. And I'm getting things wrong, and I'll prove to myself that, a lot of the thoughts and the approaches that I'm taking are wrong. But I am truly trying my best. And I heard one great quote that I want to share with you, right? If you spend all your time waiting to do what is right, you will do nothing. And that is wrong. So don't waste all your time ruminating on the perfect, angle or the perfect play to make. Make the first move. Get the feedback of your current frame of mind or how you're going about it. If it's your goal or your process in getting to that goal, and adjust accordingly. So, if you're in this journey and you're failing, keep going. It's a win. It's win or learn. It's not win or lose. It's win or learn. And if you're lucky enough to be, blessed with being able to see a goal that you want to go for, and you have the blessing that feels like a curse of high expectations on yourself and high expectations on your life, at a young age, then you've got so much time to be able to fail, reiterate your approach, and try again. This is me after my first failure of trying with my absolute best, and I'm walking away with an extra badge on my chest. So I feel great. Like I feel freaking awesome right now. And I'm looking down the barrel of pushing myself the closest that I have to, financial freaking, I got no money, man. I got maybe not no money. I got not much money. And, that can be seen as, oh no, try to squirrel away dollars now. But focus on the fruits of the Spirit and the rest will come. That's not my thought. That's scripture. One of the Proverbs that says, first seek the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and all things will be added upon you. So focus inward, purify yourself, connect with God, understand that your vision of success will change, but accept that as the transformation that you need and that we're looking for in the process of self-mastery. So, as we're clicking on 30 minutes, accidentally, as we're clicking on 30 minutes, I just want to say thank you for watching. If you have watched this far, God bless you. Keep going, and I look forward to seeing what this community brings and the lives that we get to experience through living this connected and conscious way. So let's get it, and never give up. If anyone's going through a hard time, hit me up directly. Happy to chew the fat and see what's happening. But if not, God bless, and speak to you next time.